Good morning, Erin.
Good morning, Amber.
We are starting our first podcast with you on the couch this morning and our cup of tea. And we're going to talk today about how you ventured off to Indonesia, following your partner and his work commitments, and hoping to share your experiences, both good and bad, on that journey.
Yes, right. Well, it was an adventure, that's for sure. And I think that was a good part of it.
Yeah.
That we were, at sort of a later stage of life, we were embarking on an adventure, and we actually flew the nest. So we left one of our daughters had already moved interstate, and we left the other one there, and she was 20 at the time, which is still quite young, but very capable. And of course, we were in touch. It's only 4 and a bit hours away, Jakarta.
So that's the highlight, isn't it? And knowing that those girls were independent and, standing on their own 2 feet by the time you made that jump was pretty impressive, even though it was in the middle of COVID.
Well, it was actually a good step for Olivia going forward too, because, it pushed her a little bit, as well as pushing me outside my comfort zone. Learning how to live in another culture. A lot of people in Jakarta don't speak English, or at least not very much of it. So, yeah, there were good bits and challenges and all of that.
Had you ever lived in another country before?
Never.
Had you
Never.
been to Jakarta before?
Only once, just before we'd already decided that we were going to do this, and then so I did go to Jakarta just for a visit.
Reconnaissance mission.
Yeah, kind of. Before we moved.
I should have done that, I think. I moved to Jakarta as well, but
You did?
did it only having ever gone to Bali. So it was a very eye-opening experience when I joined you over there.
Oh, it's so different from Bali. I think a lot of people think that Jakarta is going to be somehow similar to Bali, and it's
So different. How is it different? Explain.
it's just a massive city of
How many people is that?
24 million people, 10 million motorbikes, God knows how many cars. Like it's insane, really. The city that never stops.
Never stops, and is very different to perhaps other capital cities around the world, just because it is in Indonesia. Okay, so we're going to structure this chat today just around 3 key areas, and I suppose that is what are the best things about living in Jakarta and living abroad? What have been the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome while being there? And then maybe some tips and tricks for those that are looking to either move to Jakarta or move abroad, to help them understand what they might make their journey more enjoyable.
Okay, so
That best things.
best things I would say is going on an adventure and stepping outside your comfort zone to have a bit of personal growth, embracing a new culture. Indonesian people are just delightful. I was a bit nervous because I'd never actually met a Muslim person, and of course Jakarta is predominantly Muslim. So I had nothing to go by. It was really just a blank slate, and I did have my nerves about that. But honestly, so pleasantly surprised. They are beautiful people. They're so kind, warm, a bit cheeky. They're very helpful. They love it when you try to speak some of their language. They might have a giggle at you if you get it wrong, but they're sweet.
How did you go with the language? Did you find that there's as much English in Jakarta as there is in, say, Bali, or is it different?
Absolutely not. No, I was shocked at that too. So Bali, most people speak English because it's predominantly tourism.
That's right, yeah.
But in Jakarta,
You've been learning the language though.
I have, that's a work in progress. But Jakarta's predominantly a business centre. So, well, as you know, there are many people who have minimal English, and that's fair enough. They're Indonesian, they speak Indonesian.
We found that the biggest challenge was getting around because we didn't have a car there. And then, yes, you can order on Gojek and you can get in the car, but with those acute instructions or directions of where you need to go, if you can't convey that in their own language, you might get a bit stuck.
Well, you can, especially with the Grab, which is a bit like Uber. You're less likely to get driven the long way. But say if you get into a Bluebird taxi, they may want the bigger fare.
Yes, so different structure, isn't it?
Yeah, but we were talking about
Similar to here.
the best things.
We were talking about the best things.
So yeah, I would say people and learning about their beautiful culture. They've got a thing called Panchasila.
Panchasila, I didn't hear about that.
It's I'm not quite sure how to explain it, but it's sort of like a doctrine of how all the Indonesians will live together and embrace each other and accept each other,
Everyone knows.
regardless of religion and all of that. So yeah, they
Unwritten, or is that somewhere?
no, it's written. Oh, I think they learn it at school and things like that. But I feel that it goes further than that because they're very accepting of Westerners as well.
Yeah, okay. Even though they got some names for us.
Oh yes, true. Yeah, we get called bullays, which is kind of it's not an insult, but
It's a title to.
if you go into a market, they'll call out bullay.
Maybe a different market price for the bullays.
I think so. I think so. So I mean, you are sort of singled out a little bit like that, but it's not bad. It's not like they,
So, obviously you can't
like you or
part of all that culture shock and difference between Australia and Indonesia. There's great things and then there's challenges. What comes to mind when I say what were the challenges? What are they?
the pollution. I found difficult to deal with. Well, and I don't know what the answer to that is. Walking around is always a challenge.
Yeah.
Because often the footpath will just disappear and suddenly you're weaving in and out of traffic and footpath and
Scooters galore.
it's just insanity in general.
Yeah.
And, if you have any respiratory issues at all, I would suggest if you do have to walk somewhere wearing a mask.
That's a good idea.
So, yeah, the pollution and the traffic are pretty bad. Sometimes you can get stuck in traffic for a long time.
When we lived in Jakarta, we made sure that our bubble was very small. So if we had to travel between, our apartment and the office and the school, it was all very, very close together. But even that the sort of 2-kilometre radius could take far longer than it should have. And then you were living quite a fair distance from your workplace. So
yeah, our office is sort of half an hour to an hour, depending on
exactly right.
depending on the traffic. But there are cases when it's raining where you can be stuck in a car for up to 2 hours.
So a hot tip would be if there's rain coming, go home early so you can actually get a taxi or an Uber or Grab or
Absolutely. And always factor in extra time. If you're intending to get somewhere by a particular time.
Yes.
Because Google Maps will tell you, it's going to be 40 minutes or 30 minutes. Always allow an extra 15.
Or at least
20 minutes.
half an hour to an hour, just to be sure.
Yeah. But yeah, the challenge is you need to have something like go and buy a cheap Indonesian phone, like an Oppo.
And why is that?
Because that way you can download the apps for Grab cars. What else?
So it's probably getting into tips and tricks here. So technology is used widely in Jakarta, isn't it, in terms of payment for things and ordering goods and services, right?
Yeah, true. I mean, I tended to let my husband do that, but that's not very feminist of me, is it?
That's okay. We all play to our strengths. So I found it quite difficult because I didn't realise that my SIM card in my Australian phone was going to play up depending on my visa. So I actually had to go into the store physically and update them give them a copy of see my passport so that I could get my SIM card to continue working. So I paid for this phone bundle, like credit. And I'm like, this phone doesn't work. I get it, and the IMEI hadn't been updated, so I couldn't use it, and there was no refunds to be had. So that's a tip for you.
Yeah, for sure. No, so technology issues can be quite challenging, I think. Always good to have a friend or colleague, Indonesian friend or colleague that can help you.
Particularly with the language barrier, right? So that they can talk to the service providers and get that sorted.
Absolutely.
So Oppo, Gojek, Grab. What other apps do you use
OVO. I think I had OVO, which helps with the payment for things, which is OVO.
Yep.
We use and that's like an account.
Yeah,
You add money into it.
Yep.
And then you can pay using that. Yep. But yeah, I was lucky enough to have a 12-month visa. I had a spouse visa, which is attached to my husband's KITAS visa. So I was able to get a bank account. I don't know if you could.
Because we only went for a shorter amount of time, we decided by the time we got the KITAS, it wasn't worthwhile opening the bank account, but probably a mistake we made because it meant that we still had to rely on our Australian bank accounts, get money physically out of the ATM, and then load it on our apps and things at like the local current mart.
Oh, well, maybe a travel money card might be a good option for people who are just going for, say, 6 months.
Absolutely.
Because then you can reload your travel money card. But yeah, I just opened an Indonesian bank account. I don't think you can do that unless you've got a KITAS,
You
right?
need to get that visa right, exactly.
Yeah.
Have you ever come across HelloDoc? HALO?
Oh, is that? Oh, yes. We've used that. The medical.
Yeah.
Online.
It was amazing.
Medical.
And you can use it across Indonesia. So whether it be in Bali or, island of Java or whatnot.
Yeah.
But honestly, you can speak to a doctor, you can order medication, and you can have it delivered to you within the hour.
Yeah, we did it a few times. It was actually really helpful. Yeah, you don't have to go anywhere. You can just be in your apartment and bang, there it is.
Yeah.
And it's pretty quick, like you said.
Okay, so what does the next, say, 5 years look like for you in terms of Indonesia, and how is it playing to your planning?
I think I want to rejoin Anza House, which is it's a charity. It's Australia-New Zealand association. There's also BWA, the British Women's Association, and American Women's Association. I believe they all share one house
Physically.
in South Jakarta. Yeah. So the BWA and the AWA used to be separate from Anza House, but I think they've all kind of joined up under the same roof. And if you join, say, Anza House, you can do the activities that the other BWA and AWA are putting on. So I think I need to do that again.
So you're talking more to, because your partner is working full-time and, his time is taken up by his employment, trying to fill your days with meaningful.
Absolutely, yeah. So, I did that a few years back and I did find it quite rewarding. There's various roles that you can put your hand up for within those organisations. They have a yearly bazaar, like a market. So people are always donating items that they no longer want or need, and those markets absolutely go off. It's a time. It's a great time for everyone. And yeah, you sort of get that sense that you're helping, because there's so many charities within Indonesia so many people that need help, of course.
Beautiful. I love the way to get involved in the community and meet other people that are in Jakarta from different places in the world.
Yeah, definitely. And you get to know Indonesian people and expats.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely on my radar for the future. We've actually just got a car.
Oh my goodness. Changer.
After 5 years of catching Grabs and Gojeks.
I would say that's easy, yeah.
It is pretty huge. So
are you both driving?
No, Mark actually got a driver.
Okay.
So yeah.
Comes from or you got the driver separately?
Yeah, they bought the car. The purchase of the car was through the business, and the driver, he's actually employed by the business as well.
Yeah, great.
So, but it's a case of,
so helpful.
I can have him if he's not needed.
Yeah.
Great. Through
driving is quite common.
So that's going to be a big bonus as well.
Watch this space, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes a lot more possible. And drop a hat rather than standing on the side of the road waiting for your ride.
Absolutely. And I can practice my Indonesian on Pak Ali. I should explain there. Pak is what you say for if it's a gentleman, you'll put Pat in front of his name.
Kind of like Mr., but a casual way to say it.
Sort of, yeah, exactly. And they will often put Ibu in front of a woman's name.
Which is the word for mother, isn't it?
It means mother, but it's sort of also, like a sign of respect.
Sure.
To a woman. So I quite like that.
Yeah, like it.
Yeah. But yeah, going forward, I think I spend a little bit more time in Perth than in Jakarta these days.
You can do that, which is so close, right?
Exactly. It's a 4-hour, 15-minute direct flight. So, and Mark's my husband is well established in Jakarta.
Yeah.
So I can come and go as I please.
You've still got a base here, so that's how you've structured how it works for you as a couple.
Yes, yeah, we've kept our house in Perth, and I've got my old mum to think of here, and one daughter is still, living here. So so I think that works well for me as well, having that flexibility to sort of come and go. I probably make about 5 trips a year.
Yep.
And like you said, it's easy. It's, just over 4 hours and I'm there.
But Mark's making the most of the business opportunities over there, and that's all growing really well. And I think that for others looking to potentially work overseas and looking to our closest neighbour being Indonesia, I think that'll only continue to become more and more popular because it is so close, and you can
Absolutely
build that lifestyle around opportunities while being able to enjoy Australia on a regular basis.
Yeah, I think we should be exploring that market. Yeah, as much as we can, because they are our closest neighbour.
Leading the way.
Yeah.
We forgot to talk about one of the major reasons why you should go visit Indonesia, and particularly Jakarta. Tell us.
Oh, there's a huge coffee culture for starters. Obviously, it came from Australia.
I don't think so. But I do think that Australians going to Jakarta would very much appreciate a real cup of coffee, which they can deliver on. I can vouch for that.
The coffee is actually amazing.
It's really good.
It's impressive.
And it's everywhere, right?
Yes. And the food, I love being able to go out. We would go out. I mean, when I'm in Perth, I would go out once a month if I'm lucky.
For the same price as going out almost every day in Jakarta, right?
Well, we'd probably dine out 4-5 times a week because it's at least half the price.
Yeah. I mean, I could get nasi goreng, mee goreng.
Oh, Indonesian food.
Indonesia, $2 or $3 Australian.
Absolutely.
It was better than anything I've ever had.
But you can get everything that you want. You could get French food, you can get Italian food, you can get Thai, Vietnamese, Spanish, Turkish, you name it.
Yeah.
The food is fantastic.
Thanks for sharing. We needed to get that in. That was very important.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, no, it was. I do remember our favourite restaurant was a French restaurant just around the corner from where we were living. And we went there all the time because they had salad. You could get salad. Like, wow, how amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, dear. Great. I found one of the hardest things to wrap my head around was the difference in the smog. You were talking about the pollution and the air quality. And the idea that there's those, millions and millions of people across Jakarta and they're still burning a lot of their rubbish because even though it's a massive city, they haven't got that solution there. And so actually on the weekends when you want to be out and about and enjoying Jakarta when you're not working, you probably come across the fact that the whole city's got smog and it's smoke.
It's blanketed in pollution,
I'm sure that will improve over time.
But it takes a government that's prepared to say, right, we need some initiatives here to handle this situation.
Yeah, we're not talking politics here today.
Let's stay off that topic.
Stay off there.
That is way too big.
No, that's right. But we really did enjoy our time there, and it's sort of opened our eyes to what is possible to when you take that leap and you get out of your comfort zone and you go explore another country.
I've thought of something.
Okay.
I have thought of something. Okay, the best part about being in Jakarta, I think, is that you are in this amazing central hub to explore the rest of Indonesia. There are so many islands, 17,000 islands. I don't think you can go to all of them. some are uninhabited, but some of them are incredible. You know, there's Komodo Island. There's what's that one? 1,000 islands or something? Sounds like a salad dressing.
Look it up. The island that sounds like a salad dressing.
Oh, there's Lombok and the Gili Islands.
Oh man, we did that. That was awesome.
Samboa.
But then you're also so close to, say, Singapore and
Sulawesi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Singapore, exactly. Anywhere in Asia, it's so cheap and so quick
It's
to
a great
get
hub
there.
to get the rest of your travel bug
Yeah.
sorted. Yeah.
So, you know, Mark and I have taken advantage of that. So
Definitely.
people might say, oh, well, you're not in Europe or whatever, but it is a great hub to explore the rest of Asia.
Yeah, awesome.
So I think that's a good one to get in.
And I found taking 2 small kids there, they haven't stopped talking about, when can we go back to Jakarta? We want to go on the rooftop pool again. We want to say, right, I miss my friend.
Well, I mean, they were brave as well. They went to school there.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, in the early ages of schooling, because they weren't focused on, you know, necessarily learning how to read and write English, they were 3 and 5, so that it was those early stages. But they still had to communicate and interact with this broad range of kids and teachers.
And many of the kids didn't speak English, right?
Certainly English was not their first language, so it was pretty incredible. And the fact that they leaned into that and enjoyed it while we were there for what it was and look forward to further adventures, that's 100% the reason why, what I wanted to get out of that experience.
Yeah.
Broaden horizons.
And, I think you and Casey set the example there, and your kids just followed suit. They were like, Mum and Dad are really embracing this. We're going to go for it too.
We didn't cut out the Pizza Hut habit. I don't think that continued. But for the main part, they did try lots of different experiences, being food or otherwise. And yeah, I'm really proud of them for that.
Yeah, they were quite brave and adventurous. And the language barrier didn't seem to stop them because they're kids.
They play anyway. Yeah, they don't mind. It's easier for kids.
So that was great to see, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Very sweet. And we were going to talk about, we took a trip once together.
That was hilarious. So we looked up this place on.
There was a long weekend. Indonesia has lots of public holidays, and we wanted to make the most of one, right? Look, the website looked great. It looked beautiful, right?
It was a good bite. I mean, I was a bit wary, to be honest, but
we left it a bit later. Remember, we left it late. It was like the week of that we were booking it.
Yeah.
When we rocked up and we realised that it was basically a condemned building.
I've never seen anything like it. I even wrote a song that was based on the lyrics based on the music to Hotel California, and I just replaced it with Hotel Marbella, remember? And
Cut that out. Maybe we could get some free tickets to go when it's all refurbished.
Yeah, cut that. We can't have the name of it in there, right?
No, it was an experience, but when we left there earlier than expected, and we ended up going to, where was it? Pick?
We went to Pick, which is
in
Jakarta,
but on the coast.
It's kind of a lot of Chinese Indonesians live around Pick, and there's a Chinatown, big pagoda.
I'd actually never ventured there during my
Actually,
time.
pretty cool.
I'd been there 5 months by the time I discovered it, and I was like, what have I been doing? It was so beautiful there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it had a nightlife, and
Yeah, it's a really pretty cool area. And there's apartments there as well. You can live there.
there you go. See, we got out what we needed to, got it out of our system. It was an experience.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Be careful with the pictures that you see online. Really look at those reviews and who the reviews are from. Maybe look at how the foreigners review it.
The foreigners can be honest, but you need to ask them the right questions.
Yeah. Polite?
Too polite. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh dear, we learnt our lesson.
Yes.
Thanks, Erin. Lovely to hear some input. And I'm sure that we'll be doing lots more podcasts with different people that have experienced different places around the world. But you're the first cab off the rank, and I really appreciate your time.
You're welcome, Amber.
Thanks.